It's like anything. It's like you have your response to something, and the more times you do it, it's very neurological. Like, I was on a walk with my girlfriend the other day, and we have a dog, so we walk our dog like an hour a day, every day. And like yesterday, we took like a left instead of a right at some street, and I could feel like my brain being like so excited about this street that I hadn't been down before because it was a new pathway. I was like creating a new neural pathway. And I think that's just true in music. It's like if you spend a ton of time on a song, your brain is like so adapted to it. I feel this way about playing live too, by the way. Like when we do an arena tour, the first show is like this adrenaline rush and this experience, and my heart rate is elevated, and I'm breathing more deeply, and my senses are very clear. And if I do it for 2 weeks, my body has adapted enough that like I'm not having that like, you know, cortisol, adrenaline experience. I'm just like doing my job. And I think,
does that make the shows better or worse, do you think?
It makes my performance better because I am looser and more focused on the part, but it makes the experience for me less thrilling.
Got it.
You know? But I'm better. Like that show, if you're an audience member, I was more solid that show than I was the first day when I had butterflies. But I remember the show less. Like Billie was reminding me of like a show we did, like an arena show we did in Chicago last summer. And she was like, God, that was a fun show. And I was like, I don't remember anything about it, which means that it went well. Like nothing went wrong and the crowd was great. And she was like, yeah, she was like, you remember the day before the show, and you remember like some moment during the show that was particularly good, and that's kind of it. And it's really true. It's a funny experience.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing the same set day after day, city after city, how could it not turn into a blur?
Yeah, and again, this is like part of the sort of like, it feels very meditative to me, I guess is the main thing. It feels very like, yeah, and it allows you the shot to like do it. Like, have you done theater?
No.
I really want to do theater because I've been in some TV shows and some movies, and like the thing I love about touring is this, like, you up your, you know, baseline run one night and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do that better tomorrow night, and then the next night you're like going into the show like, I'm gonna kill this part, and then that night you see a moment where you're like, oh, I could jump off that riser right there, and then the next night you do, and like I feel like that's probably true of theater, and that makes me want to do it.
Are you able to sort of get away and, I don't know, sort of recharge your ear in other things when you get like bored of touring or producing? Like, can you jump into other songs, or are you just done with producing for the week?
Jumping into other songs is really helpful. Jumping into like other facets of it is really helpful. Like each part of the process is very all-consuming in some ways. Like the day that you're working on like the rhyme for the second verse is like, that's kind of your whole focus. And so once you cross that bridge, it's like, it's really fun to go work on like the tone of the guitar, and then it's fun to go work on the songwriting again. So there's a lot of different places to turn your head. But then beyond that, yeah, I do try to play some video games or watch a movie with my girlfriend or go on a walk or call a friend or something that's like totally removed from what I'm working on, what I'm worrying about, and then I get back into it the next day. One of the other things that I'm just sort of like, I'm always struggling with and learning is like, sometimes like some work that I need to do, like not opening the program is like, I'm like, oh, like I don't want to even start right now, and I get very like procrastinating. And if I just am like, fuck it, and I open up the program and I open it up, then I can't even help myself. I can't even resist working on it. Do you know what I mean? Like if I have to, yeah, like if it's open and it's there in front of me, my brain is like in problem solving mode, and I'm like, all right, let me add this thing right here, and I'm just like, I'm at work. You know what I mean? It's like the way my girlfriend is with like organizing. Like she might not want to organize something like a shelf in her office or whatever, but as soon as she starts, like she cannot stop herself. And so yeah, I think I benefit from that, from kind of some level of like compulsiveness of like, oh man, like as soon as it's there, I'm like, let me try to fix that, let me get another take, you know. But sometimes just like my studio is like, it's a separate entrance from my house, and sometimes like there are days where I'm like, I can't even go down there because I'll like never come back. Like I'll just be down there all day if I go down there. So sometimes I'll just avoid it.
I did want to ask you about like one specific thing. This is like mostly a selfish thing. Be like, oh, what questions could I ask? Because a lot of times it's like I go on YouTube and, you know, stuff like there was a Charlie Puth video where he broke down attention that gave me enough confidence to like, oh, I can actually produce. Because before I could produce, but I didn't know really how to engineer. Or you sort of think there's a secret sauce when you're beginning. So a lot of times
I know exactly which video I know exactly which Puth video you're referring to, and I love videos like that growing up. I felt that way several years ago when I saw like a Jack Antonoff Bleachers video where he like walks through like I want to get better, and I was like, oh my god, like I could sample sounds like that. Like it's so inspiring. So I'm right in your camp, Aidan. I feel the same way.
Did you ever see the John Mayer Berkley seminar?
Oh yeah, of course. When I was like 13, 14, I watched the whole thing.
Oh shit, so we're in the exact same boat.
Yeah. It's so meaningful. It's great. It's a great clinic too.
Do they do that for like a bunch of, I'm guessing that's a constant thing at Berkeley.
I don't know, I never went to Berkeley.
Me neither.
I did make some joke at the expense of like Berkeley students on Twitter last year, and how they like, it was because I did like a seminar at Berkeley or something, and it was really fun and the kids were super cool, but then they used me on like the billboard for like why you should go to Berkeley, and I tweeted and was like, yeah, you can spend $200,000 a year to go to a school and see a kid who didn't go to the school come and like talk about how you don't need to go to the school, and all these kids were like, you, they were so mad, and I was like, all right, like whatever. And I was like, I just think it's lame to be like in debt for like art. Like music is like the most self-teachable thing, whatever. But yeah, I got kind of canceled on Twitter for making fun of Berkeley.